Bobby Bryant here, and you know what? I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot from both Mark and Vishal as I listen into what these guys share, talking about Chat GPT 4 that just was released, how to use it, and also from Vishal talking about the different solutions. I want to take a different approach than those two gentlemen. Um, in regards to brokerage, the next 10 years. But what I want to say out the gate, as I listen, and a lot of you guys that may be watching this session today, I'm of the belief that technology alone, although, and I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about myself, but that technology alone, without a compelling uh, um, and complementary business model and method, is actually, I believe, is counterproductive. These two sides must be intentionally baked and built into whatever solution that we see for our companies, and everyone who works throughout our organization, understanding what that solution, what our advantage, unfair advantage is and isn't, and to be able to go out here and provide these efforts, these solutions, these services to consumers and practitioners alike, making all of our jobs, easier, more efficient and effective. And maybe somewhere in the process, it saves the organization and or consumer and agents and brokerages for that matter, time and money. So no, guys, Bobby Bryant here. About me, I am the CEO and co-founder of DOS, which is an Amazon and Google-backed digital real estate super app designed to better centralize, democratize, and humanize big data for the largest asset class in the world, which is real estate. Our development empowers users to speak, text, or type any question about any property in the country to get accurate, easy, and instant answers as they search, service, and transact all things home in the palm of their hand. And so, again, this whole session and event is about technology and how is it going to impact real estate. And again, we've heard some from both Mark and Vishal. We've heard some great content, and again, taking a bit of a different approach in regards to brokerages. We talk about agents and how different tools and technology can empower them to better serve their clients. But you know what? I want to take a step back and I want us to think about, well, what about the brokerages? How does all of this technology impact brokerage companies? What do they do, or what should they do? I remember when we were building our company at DOS, we started off as a real estate technology company, a prop tech, with no agents at all. And this was back in 2015, 2016. And I'm reminded about how we were building out our technology and the solutions we had in mind to provide, what the problems we wanted to solve, right? And along that journey, as we were creating this technological platform, this digital real estate search engine that's going to be a recommendation search and task engine, all governed and mobilized by artificial intelligence. And when we say AI, a lot of times for people that sounds like this big old um, thing, and I don't know if people really understand holistically, like, well, what is AI? And the term artificial intelligence, a lot of times is thrown out like this generic thing, and yet it has so many different components and pieces to it. Some companies may use a little AI, some don't use it at all. Most of our current search engines out there, most of them don't use a lot of AI, if you will. And when we were putting together DOS, our objective was to, man, how do we mobilize everything that artificial intelligence has to offer? Image recognition, speech to text, text to speech, machine learning. How can we put this all into a search experience, as I said in my bio, that better centralizes, democratizes, and really humanizes the way we search for homes and move us beyond the box and empowers the consumer, especially millennials who are the largest purchasers of homes, and our upcoming Gen Z who the oldest is 24, when a lot of us bought our first home at 24 years old. I know I did. And when we look at what we were creating in terms of this super app, this artificial intelligence digital assistant built into this marketplace, we learned a lot on the journey to accomplish that, and that ended up also empowering us to cross the chasm over to, okay, great. If we're going to evolve the way people search and transact real estate, we have to make sure that we have a business method and model that complements, right, the technological platform in the pursuit of not having a bolted on solution, right? But again, baked in and built, into our solution. And then we start, testing and sampling, and interviewing and surveying, what do agents want? What are some of the problems that brokerages are dealing with? Solutions that are out there, and what are they doing? How is that helping the brokerage? How is that taking away from the brokerage, right? And this is what I wanted to talk about today. Although DOS is a real estate technology company, we have the other side to it, which is the business side. I want to add this component. I don't know how many of you have ever watched *Halt and Catch Fire*. It was on Netflix, and it was a beautiful with Joe McMillan, who made a statement. He made a beautiful statement. And the guys walked up to him and they were just like, technology, 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 right? It's so easy for us to just blab all of that out and lose people. And they're like, oh my gosh, it sounds awesome, but okay, I don't know how to use it. I don't know where to start. It was interesting, Joe McMillan's response. And he said, see, you guys think technology is the thing. Now, this is coming from a guy, who is a CEO and co-founder of a technology company. See, you guys think technology is the thing. It's not the thing. Technology is the thing that gets you to the thing. And although this was a throwback movie, he's exactly correct, right? Technology alone is not totally the thing. It's the thing that gets us to the thing, especially in a service industry called real estate, right? And going to the slide here. So what will the future of brokerages look like in this next era? As Vishal mentioned, the 3.0 of real estate. As Mark mentioned, you start talking about Chat GPT. But before we look at those things, trying to figure out how do we apply these technologies to our specific use cases, right? The real estate industry has been historically agent-centric, right? Historically agent-centric, meaning that a brokerage just served the agent, provided maybe the agent some tools or maybe none at all. And then the agent used those tools or the tools they saw fit. And then they provided the service to the consumer, right? Agent-centric. And I think over the years, you've seen a lot of models in the real estate industry come and go, right? We have companies that tried to disrupt that. We have companies that were in a pursuit of how do I turn around and we give the agent everything they need and we remain agent-centric, because the bulk of the brokerages today remain agent-centric. In a world that's rapidly evolving, right? The average realtor is 55 years old. The oldest millennial is in their late 40s, right? But yet the millennial generation is the largest purchasers of homes. So if we're dealing with a generation of realtors that's teetering between Gen Xers and baby boomers with a certain mentality, rightfully so, right? But then yet now you have this tech savvy generation with millennials, and then now we have entering the market Gen Z, who's the first generation born after the internet was founded. We have to take those factors into consideration because rightfully so, these generations are different as they move further into home buying age and the different stages, right? So if we're going to look at that data and understand it and how these generations impact the industry, how these generations look at technology, how they view it, but we have an industry that is a little resistant, right? Because historically, what has also happened is the real estate industry doesn't understand tech, and tech didn't understand real estate. And that may be the gridlock that we had as an industry, right? Because we all are wondering, hmm, why has the real estate industry gone so far, so long without being disrupted? Because it's antiquated, guys. It's antiquated. It's fragmented, and the objective via technology is to stitch all that together, right? And I know that's what our objective is at DOS. But historically, brokerages have been agent centric. But I want you guys to think about some of the future, the current technologies, and some of the other verticals. You look at companies like an Uber, who has figured out how to not just serve just the taxi industry, but what they've done is create a solution that says, hey, our objective is to give the agent, excuse me, the driver a great experience, and also the rider. And then how do we bring those guys together, right? We could say the same thing about Airbnb, and we could say the same thing about Amazon. These companies figured out how to serve two masters, if you will, whereas the real estate industry has actually historically told us you can't do that, right? And so does the future of real estate, does the future of brokerage, is that a situation to where brokerages need to look at their models and potentially scrap the old traditional way of doing business, where they just focused on the agent, right? Because I put here at the bottom of that slide, why? Because agents are changing. Just like majority of the buyers today are millennials, a lot of these millennials are also entering the real estate workforce to become realtors. They think different, they function different, they use technology different, right? And the same thing with Gen Z. I know at our brokers, we're having a lot of guys and gals that are coming in straight out of college and or high school that are wanting to become realtors, right? These guys don't get on Facebook, for example, right? This younger generation, TikTok, Instagram, and all of us old heads are on Facebook. So we had to create solutions at our company. Well, how do we communicate and engage a whole new audience of realtors that don't even get on Facebook and some of these other vehicles that we communicate, back and forth. So we had to get those solutions, create those solutions. Again, guys, they're different, and I'm just using that as an example. So what do you think the future of brokerages, what would that look like in the next 10 years, right? Do you think that we could keep going down the same path that we've historically, gone down, all right? Or do you believe that we need to have more of a agent and consumer centric, meaning that just like the Ubers and the Amazons and the Airbnbs, should brokers now create a model to where they bring together the consumer and their agents? Should they create these systems? Well, let me put it to you this way. If you don't, there'll be more companies like Estately. There'll be more companies like the Movotos Ojo Labs. There will be more companies like Realtor.com with OpCity that builds that bridge. And the 35% that they are charging, that will extract that out of the commission earned if brokers don't start creating their own solutions in their own communities to go directly to the consumer. Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that gave you something to think about. What is the future of brokerage offices? Wow. So I get this question a lot on several podcasts that I'm on. Bobby, do you think that going virtual is the solution? Bobby, what do you think about offices today? What do you think about offices in the past? Historically, I'll say we've done it wrong. We've done it wrong. I've flown throughout the country. I have broker friends throughout the country. I walk into offices that are 7,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet offices, and to only see 3 to 10 people in the office at any given time. Historically, real estate offices are bulky, and they were created for agents. But then, just like anything else in our country, any industry in our country, when something doesn't work or an incident happens or takes place, we are very extreme and we go to the right or to the left, right? Oh my gosh, we're just going to go from having these 3,000, 15,000 square foot offices to no office at all, right? Yeah, go virtual. This company is doing it, and look at them. They grew to XYZ number of agents. Oh, they're doing it, right? but does it make it right? Is it the answer? Is it the answer for your office? Is it the answer for the community of agents in your area? Right? I mean, I think we have to take in consideration. Okay, great. I'm in Manhattan. I'm in Houston, Texas. I may be in LA versus I'm in Idaho Falls, Idaho, or I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, where things may be a little different. What we have to do is take in consideration our agents, our community, and what they need. Because there are pros and cons, obviously, to everything, correct? And so when we start talking about the brokerage of the future and technology, yes, we have things like Zoom, we have Google Meets, and we can do virtual calls, and we can get on our mobile devices, and we could do FaceTime, and we could do these things that saves us time instead of having to get in our car and drive across town. Or yeah, you're right, we can go sit into a Starbucks, and we can do that as well. However, we have to ask ourselves, how does this impact the culture that I'm trying to build at my brokerage? See, because in my opinion, virtual is awesome. I think creating a hybrid approach is the smartest thing to do. Create a hybrid approach, right? Meaning that maybe the office no longer needs to be 10,000 square feet. Maybe it needs to be somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet. Maybe we need to build an office that's designed for both the agent and the consumer, right? And then we could be more impactful. We can have an office that's set up for people to be virtual, mobile, remote. I just want a place that I know I can come to, right? I can meet my client. I just need to get out of the house. My husband's driving me crazy. My wife's driving me crazy. The kids are too loud. The dog keeps barking. Whatever the reason is, and I don't want to have to go into Starbucks and feel pressured to buy a $6 coffee. I just want to be able to go into the office, maybe get some coffee at the office or bring my own drink. But I think we need to look at this thing and more of a hybrid approach. I can really appreciate Robert Reffkin for Compass, who mentioned that virtual offices can actually be a culture killer, right? We see a lot of different technology CEOs throughout the country that are requiring their workers to come back into the office. Why? It's because it takes a hit on the culture of the office. I know our brokerage gets a lot of agents who come from some of the more virtual offices saying, I feel like I'm on an island by myself. Yes, everything is digital, virtual, and that's great, that's cool, but I'm a human and I need to connect with people. See, guys, we have to think that if we take this extreme approach, we end up missing on a whole category of people because everybody doesn't learn the same. With myself being an ex-school teacher, I understand the different types of learners, right? And everybody isn't online, right? Some people need to be sat down and they need to be shown exactly what to do, and they need that in touch. But we're extreme as humans, and we're always thinking future forward, but we don't do a good job of transitioning people. We just go left, right, and we have to slow down and ask ourselves, survey our agents, survey the people that we work with in the community, and ask them, what do you believe you need and want right now? Now, here's the other thing. A lot of times, in the word of Steve Jobs, people don't know what they want until you create it. I believe that as well. But when we talk about our own brokerage and our crack and crevice of the country, we have to not look at what somebody's doing out of San Francisco and I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, or what have you. I have to turn around and create what's best for my type of agents in my community, in my territory, in my area. And that's what I would challenge, everybody to do. Figure that out. What does your clients need and want from their broker in their area? When we say what do agents want from their broker, and that kind of ties right into where we're about to go. When we did our research, even as a tech company, and guys, I would have to say to my brokers who are watching this, if you can't measure it, don't do it. That's how the technology world functions. If I can't measure it, I'm not doing it. When it comes to advertising, that comes to any and every aspect of your business. Measure everything. But one thing we've realized is that, even though you start talking about all the technology, right? Amazingly enough, Agents don't take advantage of the advantage that you're providing. Case in point, what I've realized is that most agents, when I look at it, guys, you start talking about our association here in Houston. Let me use that for example, and then I'm gonna give you another one. Our association here in Houston, the Houston Association of Realtors, is one of the strongest associations in the country. They provide a plethora of tools and solutions for our agents to use here. But guys, the buy-in from the agents, it's not even 10%. And that's just not Houston. It's just an agent thing. It's no knock on the association because they provide some beautiful tools, but people aren't using them. And then you start talking about, well, okay, Bobby, give me another example. 72, 73% of all realtors don't even have a CRM. Think about that. We're talking about the backbone, the central nervous system to our business. A great CRM, but 72 to 73% don't have one. And you know what the number one reason is? Money. They don't have the money. And you know why? The top 25% of all realtors in the country, they do 75% of the business. See, the thing is when we start talking about technology and we start talking about brokerage, we have to understand the data. I'm a bit of a data nerd because the thing is the objective is to understand what the numbers, what the data says, not gut feelings, not gut feelings. You maybe make a gut feeling if you have to decide after looking at the data, right? But to go off gut alone, not a good method. But when you start talking about creating a technological solution and understanding why you're doing it, right? Because in the words of Simon Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So as we go out here and we think as brokerages and we're trying to figure out what do our agents want? What do they believe? But most importantly, you as the broker owner, what do you believe? And then you have to build that solution, right? And these two have to work in tandem with each other. You can't have this robust technological solution or just this brokerage model, because just the brokerage model alone with no technology, that's not innovative. Anybody can copy that. Anybody can copy a model. Oh, my brokers charge $1 per listing, and we give our buyers back the entire commission. Okay, yeah, extreme, but anybody can make that decision. But if you, as the broker or entity, can figure out how do I create a comprehensive, innovative technological solution, and I have a business method that's just as strong, and I bring those together. Now that's innovative. That's unique. That's a moat built around your business. So what do agents want from their brokerage? Believe it or not, number one isn't technology. Number one isn't leads. It's culture and a sense of belonging. It's culture and a sense of belonging. Now, technology can help build that. See, we go out and talk about this cold, isolated thing called technology. Again, coming from a guy who's the CEO and co-founder of a tech company. We go out and we just talk about this cold thing called technology that potentially has no pulse at all to it. But what people want, number one, being agents, they want culture and a sense of belonging. Now, how can you give that and you wrap technology around it, right? How do you give that? And this is what you have to figure out for your company in your territory, in your market area, because the agents in your area could be different from the agents in another area, right? If you travel the country and you go to, the different seminars and you meet people all over the country, you pull together like, wow, they're doing that, and this is why they do that. But culture and a sense of belonging is the number one thing agents want. And we have to figure out how do we provide that and how do we stitch technology around it. And then, yes, after that, then becomes support. And I left off the word technology in training. They want support, active support. Do you have the systems in place, the technology in place where they could feel that support, right? Support is a feeling. Support is a feeling that brokers and brokerages have to provide to their agents actively. And guys, I'm going to tell you, We have agents. That goes beyond a digital screen. That goes beyond a digital screen. Yes, it saves time. Yes, it does that. But this is where the extreme aspect of not having an office, a separate office, right, where that agent can come in and sit down with somebody for the largest purchase most people make in their lives. Hold up, to go over a contract and all the thee, thou, those. See, we can talk technology all we want, but we have to talk about the nuances of the business that we're in. And it's very litigious. And we can talk about the chats and the GPTs and all we want, but how do I turn around and help most agents understand the intricacies of this business, the contracts, all the dates, right? And so they need that support, the technology and the training. And we have to understand that. It's amazing I left that off here. And then the training component. Yes, technology. How do we do that? Is that where it's purely virtual? Do we have training to where it's a hybrid and some people can come into the office? Because again, we got different type of learners, right? If everybody was able to get their license online, they would do it. And if you're in this business, you know that if you go get your real estate license online, you're about to do a lot of reading. But if you go to class, it's more instructional, right? From a guy who has a master's degree in teaching special education, I understand the different types of learners. And we can't have an industry where we just treat everybody like they just fit into one box and bucket, because that's not true. Nobody, all people don't read, comprehend, and on the same level. We just don't, right? And then lastly, our leads. Guys, that's where we're going right now. You know, it's interesting when you look at companies, again, going back to the Ubers and the Amazons of the world. When we start talking about the future of brokerages are going to have to figure out, how do I provide value, more value to my agents? I'm not talking about the rehashed value, of an 8-track. We're in a Pandora world now. You need to sit that 8-track over there, and we need to figure out, what does a Pandora streaming type brokerage looks like? Because we're rehashing the same value propositions. Your agents want leads. They want leads. And you know what you're relying on right now as brokerages? We're letting third-party lead providers come in, and they're making more money per transaction than you. They're making more money on your agents than you, and yet you have all the risk, right? So what's the solution to that? Each brokerage in their own right, in their own communities and territories, need to become mini tech companies. They need to start building out their own proprietary solutions, right? Because the issue is, when you use these third-party lead providers and they're taking 30 to 35%, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised one day if that doesn't start hitting 40%, almost like a relocation company. Like, when you start taking that off top, right? That's money out of your brokerage. That's money out of your agent's pocket. Whereas if you were, as the broker, were to create this solution, create these ways, right? Then you would be able to turn around and provide these offerings to your agents, and those monies would be redirected back to your brokerage, so you can continue growing technically, right? And also in marketing, and be able to provide more solutions to your own shop. However, if we don't take those approaches, more of these companies are going to rise up. More of these companies are going to come up because the brokers refuse to do it. So they start filling in a void. And it becomes so, how do I say this? Backdoor attractive, to the point to where brokers start actively signing up for them. Yeah, let me sign up for it. I'll give you 30, 35% of my commission. By the way, man, agents are trying to go for the best splits. And so I'm over here, yeah, I'll sign up, but I'm over here taking a flat fee. I'm taking a $500 flat fee. They're signing up with a company and they're giving them 30, 35%. Well, what about me, the broker? And so the broker ends up being in a position to where they are in a race to zero, because the agents want everything, right? I want the sun, the stars, and the moon. But I have to pay them 30%, but I still have to give you an 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40 cut. Yes. Then all of a sudden, one day they start making a decision. I need to see more of my money. Guys, what do agents want from their brokerage? Culture and a sense of belonging, support, technology, and training. And they want leads. What we have to do is figure out, how do we do all of this and stay in a position to where, as a brokerage, you can continue to survive and thrive? Meaning that you're going to have to create your own technological solutions. You're going to have to cut somebody out, or you'll forever be codependent upon them, and that will eventually put you out of business. All right, so what should consumers expect from the brokerage? Guys, so if we sit here and we say, okay, great, we're going to transition in the future, I do believe personally, because we're doing this with our company, DOS, I believe that we're going to be in a situation to where a brokerage in the future needs to be both agent and consumer centric, right? Because you need to get in front of what's happening. If you don't get in front of it, your demise is inevitable. And so with that being said, I want you to think about it. Have you ever rode in the Uber? Have you ever gone to Airbnb? Guys, a brokerage has been a marketplace ever since it was formalized in 1908, right? We've been a marketplace. Everything starts with us, the center of the universe, agents and brokers, right? They come to us. I need a mortgage. I'm not pre-approved. Insurance guy, the title company. We direct all of this, right? And we are just as hopefully good as the referral or the direction where we send this client to all of these different other providers in order to successfully close that transaction. So what does the consumer expect? Send me to somebody who is professional, who's hopefully in alignment with your mission statement and purpose, right? Send me to somebody, take care of me. If something goes wrong, what do I do? If something happens, is it in your paperwork to say, hey, if you're never happy with me, the agent, your agent, if I'm not happy, who do I contact? See, the thing is we're in the brokerage business, which is a very, very lucrative, can be, right, business. We provide a service, but I could walk into a McDonald's and buy a Big Mac, and they'll give me the details of everything that's in it, even totaling the amount of calories. But it's amazing to be in the real estate industry and provide services, and everything is so taboo. Everything is so hidden and taboo. Most sellers don't even know what the agent is going to provide. The buyers don't know what the agent is going to provide. And we don't collectively, and I've traveled the country and talked to brokers, hey, do you do this? Do you do this? But it's so taboo. And all of our agents, yes, they're independent contract, but we don't create a standard workflow, right? Potentially that they could follow, that across our brand sets this industry standard, right? That they could work from and provide a client that's transparent and that almost ensures a great customer service experience, right? If I ride in an Uber and I leave my keys, I leave my shades, she leaves her purse, her wallet, right? The rider can go into the marketplace, not only request for the item that they think they left behind, they could even rate the driver. The driver can rate them. And the marketplace, even depending on the problem, can step in and ensure or attempt to provide a solution. Does your brokerage do that? Does your marketplace do that? Does some of the search engines currently do that? Or do they just sell a lead and they're gone? And now it's up to the broker and the client is exposed, right? Think about that. Who does a client go to for the number one search engine on the planet? The number 2, 3, 5. If they're not happy, can they, after they get passed off to a realtor, can that consumer go back to that platform and complain and say, I wasn't happy? Right? The consumer wants accountability in today's market. Millennials and Gen Z, I want to trust the brand that's providing me this service. And I want to believe that this brand is going to take care of me when things go wonky. Is the brand doing that? Does your brand do that? Accountability. We could do that by way of technology. Are we infusing that? How do we ensure that our clients have a great experience? Do you follow back up after? Do you have a company policy that follows up? Because once again, we've already established that most agents have tools that they don't use. So does your company, when you cut checks or you do the commission disbursement, do you have a system in place that goes in and ensures? Because what you as a company are doing is you want everybody to come back in your community, right? So you could serve them. So accountability. Oh, I love Bobby and I love his service and Doss, they were so great. Do you have a way where you put that out, whether your agent does it or not? Right? The next one is, what does the consumer want? Competent agent. Right? How do you use technology to ensure that your agents are competent? Meaning that they follow your system. I know at our company, an agent joins us, and we again, we're backed by Google. So what ends up happening is we use the whole entire Google suite of tools on our back end, and we leverage them masterfully, right? And so what ends up happening is that we have these catalogs. So when an agent joins our company, we have 10 videos that says exactly, hey, 10 videos, hey, before you go to orientation. We do orientation every Tuesday at 10 o'clock for our company. So when a new agent joins us, and I say new, not as a new, they just got their license, but new to our company, they watch those 10 videos before orientation. The videos are anywhere between 1.5 minutes and 5 minutes each. And then we have 10 more videos that they watch after orientation. Okay? And then our company is what we call a Go-Giver ambassador. Bob Berg is a good friend of mine. He authored the best-selling book called The Go-Giver. And our company, that's what our mission and purpose is. That's what we stand for. So we want all of our agents in alignment with what we believe. We need to talk and have the same vocabulary. That's what we do at our company and our brand. And then we have all these videos and catalogs that they can go in on their own. So we don't have to constantly say the same things over and over again. But when they join us, they instantly get access. The minute we set up their Doss company email, and the minute they get that, their calendars fill up automatically because we structured it that way. And all of a sudden, they get all these catalogs, and all they have to do is sit down, grab some popcorn and a Coke, and just watch and get indoctrinated into the Doss way of doing things. Efficiency, competency, how we work, what you should do. When somebody's not happy, this. We cover all of these topics. But a consumer deserves, for the largest purchase of their lives, a competent agent. How, as a brokerage, do you use technology to ensure that the agents at your office aren't a liability to your brand and brokerage? How do you use technology to train them? Right? What do consumers expect from their brokerage? Great service at flexible pricing. Right? You hear all the time, oh my gosh, I found my own house, this, that, and the other. I did this, I did that. And that's starting to happen as we continue to evolve this industry, as the consumer evolves, as they become smarter, right? As they better leverage technology. What do they expect? They expect competitive pricing. They expect transparency, right? All of these things can be accomplished with technology. But what do you, as a brokerage, what do you believe that looks like? I'm not saying anybody is right or wrong. You create what you believe based on your experience, based on the brand that you're creating, based on your community, right? Because again, each pocket and crack and crevice of this country is different. The majority of this country is rural, right? Yeah, you got major metropolitans where a lot of people are at. And I mean, in Houston, it's extremely competitive. We're in the 4th largest city. We have almost 50,000 realtors. And you have every model imaginable in this particular city, from flat fee to agents on 50-50. But those agents are making 6 figures. And you got the guys at the flat fee companies that are only closing 2-3 deals a year. So they have to see all of their money. You got rebate companies, reduced listings companies. You got companies that provide options. You got these different types of models. It doesn't make anybody right or wrong. They've created what they believe, what they believe the consumer wants and their value proposition, right? To set them apart. But one thing's for sure is that the underlying desire from a consumer is to have great service, right? And pay a price that they feel like they're getting what they're paying for. And that can venture off into other conversations. But again, technology, how do you use it for accountability? How do you use it to ensure that your agents are competent? Because these are the things consumers want from the brokerage, right? Great service provided by your agents and potential flexible pricing, right? Because consumers are different now and they're looking for that. So when we start talking about, and this is actually my last screen, when we start talking about action items, guys, I would say as a company, as a brokerage, in regards to both technology and trying to create a method and model that complements each other. Because again, technology alone is not enough. A business method alone is not innovative. So you have to decide, what do you as a brokerage owner, and if you here as an investor, are you looking at companies that are really truly innovative? Are they really in the forefront? That they aren't just one-dimensional companies, with built-on solutions. Bolted on solutions. That they actually baked in these services. But guys, our brokerages, they have to decide, what do you believe, and create it. That's what we had to do, and we went and did a ton of R&D, research and development, to understand not only brokers and brokerages and what are they doing, and the great ones and the not so great ones. What problems are you having? What issues are you having with your realtors? How are you mobilizing it? How can we become more efficient? Right? Where are things getting stuck? And then same thing with the technology. Who's doing what? Who's innovating? And I'm not talking about a splinter of the problem, because that's what the real estate industry normally does. Oh my gosh, we're going to disrupt open houses. I'm like, that's really? We're going to disrupt open houses? Like, we have fundamental problems wrong, with the real estate industry that are much bigger than disrupting an open house, right? Or we're jumping and leaping to blockchain when we're not ready for that yet. Like it's there, right? And we're getting there, but people aren't ready yet. And we've had to deal with that too at DOS. We have to create for people today and be thinking about tomorrow. We can't get ahead of ourselves. That's how companies go bankrupt. That's how companies run out of money, right? So we have to decide, what do you believe, and create it for your agents, right? Today. And what does your community need? Have you surveyed your community? Do you talk to people? Have you talked to enough people? We're not talking about 3 people showing up saying, oh my gosh, I love it. No, we're talking about, we've surveyed 100. We've surveyed a few hundred people, and we really got this input back from them to decide, hey, what do you need, right? Let me ask you a question. Going back to this office situation, right? What if I could come into your office and buy boxes? What if I could buy tape, right? These are things that the community needs when they what? Move, right? We have to think outside the box. And we have to do that with people that are thinking outside the box. If I'm going to create an office space that is for my agents and consumers in the community, what does the community need, right? And bring that into your brokerage. Reduce your costs, but man, go deeper and wider with the community. That's how you get the community to become more loyal, right, to your brand. Next, decide for agents and provide what they need. Again, a lot of times, just like in the words of Steve Jobs, I said that earlier, most people don't know what they need until you create it, right? Do the research, survey, and get with your agents as well, and make those decisions and provide them and encourage them to buy into what you're offering, right? A lot of agents have PTSD. Oh, I'm not using the company CRM. They're going to steal my data, and one day I may leave. Well, how do you solve that problem? You got to get buy-in from them. And then we're in this world now where, hey, if you want to take it and go, you could do that. You're not stuck using our company. right? You're not stuck. We don't want to steal your clients, right? We're here to serve you, right? So decide for them and provide what they need, but also think about how they're thinking and provide solutions to that. Lastly, create your own rules within the rules, right? The real estate industry is, again, it's a very fragmented game. It really is a very fragmented game. And so what we have to do is understand the rules. This is the reason why, number one reasons why a lot of people get into this business, especially big tech dollars, and they get into this business and they don't understand the intricacies that govern this business. There are rules to MLS data. Trust me, we're creating that. We have a search platform. And there's rules to it. There are things I can and can't show and do. I have to follow the rules if we're going to use that data, right? But we have to understand the rules that govern our business, and we have to figure out how can I be innovative within those rules that governs my industry. And maybe what we could do in Houston, we can't do in San Francisco, or we can't do in Alabama. We have to understand the rules and regs in each pocket of the country so we can continue to have the data and innovate in these territories, right? You got what, 9, 10 states? You can't do a rebate. You got to know that. You got to know that, right? And because if you don't, you'll go to those states and you get heavily fined, if not kicked out of the association, because you're not following the rules. And so those are my action items for brokerages. Again, my name is Bobby Bryant, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. That concludes my presentation.
Hey, Bobby, that was awesome. I took so many notes. I really appreciate your time. We have a few minutes for questions. If that's okay with you, we can
Yes.
handle that. Awesome. So while we wait, let's see. I don't think that's Cody. I don't know if that's a question or just a comment. I have a question for you, Bobby. While we wait for someone to come in, or
Yes.
several questions. First one: where can people connect with you offline? Your LinkedIn, Twitter, email.
Yeah. So LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn, more so than Twitter. But you could find me at Bobby Bryant on LinkedIn, and it has the same exact picture that you see here. That's up right now with my profile picture. So yes, I would love to connect.
Awesome. And okay, so Cody just said it was a comment. So as far as a question for me, I mean, what predictions do you have for 2023 for brokers? What's something that maybe a trend that you saw towards the end of last year, or maybe something at the beginning of this year that you want to make a prediction on, or
the biggest thing I would recommend, if I heard you correctly, is that we have to really pay attention to what's happening locally around us, right? That's the biggest thing. I think that when we look at what's taking place, we're fortunate, right? I'm in one of the top 2 states where everybody in the country looks like they're migrating to, Texas and Florida. So we're fortunate there. And so I think what brokers need to do is really, really take inventory. I talked about this measuring thing earlier, right? And if you can't measure it, don't do it. I think brokers really need to get to the point where they really have intimate conversations with their agents. They need to talk to consumers to really understand, is the process changing? How do they feel about interest rates? And what are we teaching and talking to our agents about in regards to interest rates? You let me tell it at my brokerage. I'm like, hey, I bought my first house in 93, 4, rates were 7, 8%. That was normal. And although when we went through 08 to 13, the last recession, a lot of millennials were what? Teenagers. They were living in their parents' house. And so now they're seeing rates and they're freaking out. You know why? Because we've artificially kept them low. So we have to talk to not only our agents who are like frozen stuck, but we need to also talk to the community and help them understand what's happening. And I think that's what brokerages need to do. They need to get out of the suits, get out the office, and they need to get out there and talk to the communities more. Brokers are not in front of the community. So what I want to recommend brokers to do is become the professional, become the voice, and stop letting the media and everybody else freak their clients and communities and agents out. Brokers need to get out front. That's my number one suggestion is to get out front.
That's amazing. Something that you mentioned earlier during your conversation really stood out to me, which was like doing, like the marketing with, don't market without measure. Like it's kind of like, what's the ROI of a billboard, right? Or an ROI of a TV commercial? Like why are companies still doing that, right? Because you can't really, it's not like a Facebook ad or some sort of other paid social ad where you can track what you can measure and track what you're kind of marketing. Where I'm going with this is I think, specifically real estate in general, it's like for an industry that's been around for so long, right? Like there's like kind of like the car business, they're so behind the technology game, right? So how can brokers embrace I think doing more with less. And what I mean by that is like think about ChatGPT. I didn't know ChatGPT in November when I first came out. I feel like I'm very fluent in now, but like I'm still a terrible writer. I use ChatGPT to ideate, to come up with ideas, so I can then kind of humanize it in my voice, right? And then recreate that again, right? And for someone that hates writing, like I've written so many ebooks with it right now. I've written so much social media content. It's like I think the missing piece is the educational part. How are you educating? Like I've never bought a house. I'm one of those people that you mentioned, right? I'm a millennial. I'm 31. We were about to buy a house 2 years ago, and I was freaked out. This is first COVID started because of like the rates and stuff. It was always told to me is the American dream to buy, a home, right? That's not the case today,
Yep.
at least in my opinion. Part of my journey has been like, either educating myself, finding people that I trust that educate me, right? Because I'm also busy, and even though I love real estate, I just don't have the time to go spend it, right? So I'd rather go find a professional that I trust and I'm willing to. Our realtor, my wife and I, that quote unquote been working with. I mean, he's been with us for like 5 years, and he's always finds us like rental houses and whatnot. But that's a relationship we've been nurturing. So I know the moment we're ready to buy a house, I'm just gonna call him. So it's we built that relationship with him, and grabbing dinner. I think we got to move away from being so transactional to being more relational, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting you say that, and we're dealing more and more with a generation of people who struggle with maintaining and sustaining relationships. The broker has to think in that instance, and yeah, that's on my end about the sound. Sorry, but the broker has to think about that, right? I joke with my agents and say, I need you to get out there and start talking to people with your mouth, right? And so when we start talking about the agent who isn't as social as some of the older generations are, because a lot of times today's agent and consumer, they're here, they're on text messaging, so brokers have to once again think ahead of that, and so and think of how people communicate in their market. But great question, and I had a great time. I really want to thank you, Javi, for having me here and to be a part of this beautiful event at Glorium.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And next time you're in Dallas, let me know. I live up here, so we definitely can grab some lunch or connect. So I look forward to learning more about you. My family lives in Houston, so I'm originally from the Atlanta area.
Let's do it. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye.